So what's up, guys? Apparently the news is that Alistair Overeem has no plans to retire from MMA, and he is also back in the gym training. In terms of this kind of news, I don't know what to say. I mean, he just came off of a really nasty knockout against Francis Ngannou. But the thing is that if this guy has no signs of brain damage, which honestly, from the way he talks, and even from the way he fights, he doesn't seem to be in any sort of trouble. I mean, him getting knocked out is not a surprise. This guy's been knocked out multiple times in kickboxing and in MMA. I don't know if Joe Rogan said that it was like 15 knockouts, but the thing about this guy is that if his brain works fine, if he feels fine, and even after doing like CTE scans, he can still keep fighting, and they can determine that he is of good health, then I would say why not? I mean, he's making freaking really good money per fight. He's bringing home a good what like $750,000 per fight in his paychecks. So if you're in his position, and even if you had been knocked out like what 20 times, let's say 20, 30 times in fights, I mean, would you still not fight to make that kind of money? Hell yeah, why not? That's good money. He can buy off of every fight. This guy can buy a new house, and why not just fight 10 more times, buy like 10 more houses in the Florida or California area, do some property investments, whatever. I have no experience in that, so don't look at me like I know what I'm talking about. I'm just coming up with some ideas that this guy can do off of every fight with the money he makes. And then in terms of the Mark Hunt news, where he's planning to leave the UFC after his contract is over, I think it's a good idea. I mean, I don't see him winning the belt. He's a very good fighter, but like I said, I don't see how another fight between him and Stipe would be different. And also, I have a feeling that this guy is really sick of the disrespect that he's gotten. I think he feels like he's been bent over too many times in the UFC. And by this, I mean I'm referring to the fact where he has had to fight many steroid abusers, and then he had the whole Brock Lesnar fight where they knew what Brock Lesnar was taking. As Joey Diaz saying, he's taking rocket fuel. So he was taking some really nasty stuff. Or he was taking PEDs, and the UFC knew it, but they knew that in order to sell the fight, they had to allow him to fight under that, even though they didn't let John Jones do it, which opens up another huge can of worms in terms of what is the UFC really after. Are they after having good fights, or the fights that determine rankings and belts, or do they care about profits? And we already know the answer. They care about profits. They care more about profits than they care about belts. Even putting Mark Hunt in against a steroid abuser like Brock Lesnar or other steroid abusers. So I can see why Mark Hunt would not want to stay in the UFC after the contract is over. Like I said, he's been one of the fighters I can honestly say that has been screwed over, taken advantage of by the UFC more often than not. And if he has accepted that he won't win the UFC championship, then this is a good step for him. He can go to Japan, and he is a pretty big star in Japan. He's pretty well known over there. So him winning or him making some good money off of easy fights, I don't know how easy they'll be, but I have a feeling that they'll be easier than whatever he's getting matched up against in the UFC. That's for sure. So those are just the things I have to say about Overeem and Mark Hunt in terms of this news that's been coming out. Opinions, questions, disagreements, please leave them at the bottom. Please subscribe. Thank you.